if I'm not the smart one, who am I? If I'm not the best, who am I? Some parts of feminism say you can have it all, and that's a myth. You can't have it all. Something has to give.
This episode is brought to you by MozCon, the leading SEO conference where you will learn to become a better search marketer. Hi, and welcome to today's episode of MozPod. My name is Chima Mmeje, and I am joined by two incredible guests, Donna, Bloss, Gleize, and Miracle Inameti-Archibong. Donna is the off-page content manager at Scale. She is also a mom of 4. She is also an Irish woman living in France, and she's also a freelancer. I don't know. Donna just sounds like the superwoman that can do it all. I feel like all we need to give... Oh, you already have your cape.
I have my cape, exactly.
You have your cape. You have your cape.
I fly on the airplanes, it's handy, it's good.
And we also have Miracle. Miracle is the head of search, right?
Yeah. At
John Lewis Financials. Miracle and Donna, thank you so much for joining us. Are you as excited as I am about today's topic?
Yeah, very much, very much.
All right, our topic for today is power suits and potty breaks. I know, weird title. Navigating motherhood as a marketing leader. I'm just going to go right into it, Miracle, and start with you. You're a mom, you're also an SEO leader, marketing leader. What does your day-to-day look like? This is in context of you having a job and having kids. What does that look like when you wake up to when you go to bed at night?
Oh my God, it's like just try not to have a nervous breakdown. I think, a key part of my day is the school run, isn't it? Because we divvy it up as any other family, really. I do the drop off and my husband does the pick up, and it's that, you wake up, and I know everyone likes to slowly wake up into the morning and have a cup of tea and think about, what am I going to do? In my house, it just goes up with a bang. It's like shoes, dress, jackets, coats, eat, get out, stop pulling your sister's hair.
Stop meditation. We're going into the grind.
Exact same, like drill sergeant major,
It's like you literally turn into a drill sergeant, and you're just it's like shoes, bags, coats, stop pulling your sister's hair. Your sister's not entertainment, she's not sport. Yeah. And so there's no quietly, calming yourself into the day. I know there are people who believe in gentle parenting. Maybe I need to find some of that. But sadly, it's
not what works for you.
It doesn't work for me. And then, you get the kids off to school. I like to walk back home, and you have that time to decompress. And then you get back into work mode, and you have to forget, but then you have at the back of your head, you're like, am I missing something? Is that, you have to diarize everything. You have to have Post-it notes all around you. If not, then you forget. And of course, as Donna will know, you're just desperately praying that the school doesn't ring, isn't it? There's nothing. There's
100%. It's like, no.
Nothing stops a parent's heart as fast as you just see school. You're just like, oh my God, what's happened?
Yeah, someone's sick. You have to go collect them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you feel like, okay, they come back from school, your day, no, and then it's all of the other things that they do after school. It's like piano lessons, guitar lessons, blah, blah, blah. And then you have an hour where you both sit down in front of the TV if you have a partner, and then you argue over what you should watch, and then finally 30 minutes into the hour you select something, and then you promptly fall asleep.
Probably, yeah.
So rinse, repeats the next day all over again.
It just sounds like I like that your life, you walk around your kids and not the other way around. That sounds like the better way to do it.
I wouldn't say there's a better way. I think each family finds what works for them. True. There's some days you walk around them. There's some days they walk around you. It's all a give and take. Really, it's just what makes the family function, and what do we need for today to get through today, and that's it really.
What about you, Donna? Donna, you have four kids. Incredible.
So I had 4 kids in 5 years. Just to get all of that.
I'm sorry, 4 kids under 5 years.
In 5, yeah. At one point I had 4 kids under 5. But that was it, just get it all done and over with in one fell. But for me, it's like drill sergeant in the morning. Everything is organized down to the last minute. And then
how so?
So I get up at around 7:10, and it's like, okay, I have until 7:30 for them to get like their clothes on, you know.
20 minutes.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Like they dress themselves, you know. So it's good. And then we have breakfast. We try to sit down, have a little chat, and then it's like walk up to school. We're always early, always the first parents there outside the school. It's like panicking. Come on, we have to go. But like I think, like time management is super, super important. Like it's definitely a skill set that I apply in my family life and in my work life as well. So I'm like drop them to school, decompress, as you say, come back and I can work from home or go to an office in the city centre, depending if I have meetings or if my husband is there or anything. And then like, so if my husband isn't there, I'll collect the kids from school, but I'll put myself on pause from work. And I'll work a few hours in the evening just to pick up the slack that I didn't do that afternoon.
All right. I'm going to now pivot into your careers. And I just want to ask, I'm going to start with you, Donna. What has been the biggest challenge that you faced in your career so far? Like, what was that point where you were like, fuck it, this is not the thing I should be doing. I want to get out.
Like a huge turning point for me was like, so I'm a freelancer and just chasing invoices, and it's like, okay, like something needs to change here, you know, like I'm doing a good job, but I can't depend on some clients. Is there going to be work for next month? You know, it's like what am I doing? You know, exactly. So at that point, I really focused on like building my personal brand. And got the job with Scale then, you know, as like the off-page content manager, something that's sure, that's contracted, that's in a great environment as well. So it was just so much easier. That was about 2 years ago, I'd say. But I had to ask my husband to not work that summer. And I was like, I really need to concentrate on like my career for once, like, you know, so, and it worked.
I'm going to go the opposite way with you, Miracle, and I'm going to ask you, at what point in your career did you feel like you were going to be okay, that your career was on the right track?
I don't know. I never, I'm not the kind of person who rests. I feel like I'm always thinking, what next? And that's what drives me. And I don't know if I still feel like I'm going to be okay because I'm like, what next? What am I going to do next? Like, what am I, you know, I say when I felt like, I think when I started to feel empowered and kind of appreciate some of the skill set I had was when someone said to me, like the owner of my agency said to me, she was like, oh my God, this person is really struggling. And I'm struggling to manage them because they bust into tears every time we try to have a conversation. But you're really good at managing people, transforming people, getting them to feel confident in themselves. So I'm going to move them under your line management. And that was like a kind of turning point for me where I realized that my soft skills mattered. And I think that kind of gave me confidence, and that confidence in my managerial skills then helped me, you know, confidence begets confidence, you know, become a better manager and get a higher position and be able to say, I can do this and I can do that, I think. But I don't feel like I've ever felt like, even now, like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing a master's course, I'm doing that. I still feel like, oh, what next? When I finish that, what can I do next? It's my brain is constantly on high alert.
Do you have any challenges balancing motherhood and leadership? And if you do, how do you address them?
I wouldn't say motherhood and leadership. I was just like, it's just general work-life balance, and you know, it's not, I don't walk out of the day and like, oh my God, I'm a leader, I have to lead, and I'm a mother. I just feel like, how am I going to get through today?
So how do you find that work-life balance then?
I think I have a very strong drive, and that drive keeps me going even when I'm tired. You know, as Donna said, like, I know I want my kids to be happy, and I want them to have a happy life. So I know that compromises have to be made. So I know that if I'm sacrificing taking them to, I don't know, running club or something, I need to make that time up. And I've accepted that. I'm ready to do that. So I don't think there can ever be a smooth balance. I don't think you drop a side of you, you know, when you go to work. You're who you are at work. You bring every side of you. But it's just that acceptance that I have the freedom to do this. It's a privilege that I have because not everyone can do this. And because I just want to be the best at what I do, I'm very competitive against myself. I will make the time to do it. Or what do you think, Donna? How do you
like? For me, I think it's the same. Motherhood and leadership. The skills translate.
How so?
Like in the first company I was working with, they used to call me the mom of the team. Like,
oh, really?
Because I was always like, like looking out for people. Like, how are you today? Like, I can like judge just from the messages. Okay, something's not up. Like, just like reaching out and stuff. And like being a mother, like you have an organizing to do. Like, and you have to make sure the outcome is really good. Like, these are little humans that like you're rearing. And that translates to in the business as well. So as a leader, you have to, you don't manage it, but you lead, so like you still have the same kind of organizations. As you were saying about empathy, like that's a huge, like soft skill. Like it's definitely very important. And you're just caring and thinking about the full picture and just like doing your best for the outcome to be good. And like I'm very like you as well. I'm very ambitious. I'm very driven. So, I'm obviously going to do the best that I can do as well. And I think it's the same, and like which is cool, like,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to talk about one part of motherhood that is tricky, is taking mat leave and coming back to work. So, Miracle, I'm going to start with you because I don't know. I just want to start with you.
All right. Gives me time to prepare.
I'm sitting right
can you
next
share your
to
experience around taking maternity leave and transitioning back to work? Have you found it easy? Have you found it hard? What has your experience been like each time you've had to take mat leave and come back to work?
I think for me, that's been the worst part of being a mother. Like I had super easy pregnancies. My children thankfully just like came out. I was out of the hospital the next day, running around on my feet. And my mom said to me, "You're absolutely crazy." Sadly, I have kids that just don't sleep. I'm just blessed with kids that don't sleep, super clingy. And so I think maternity, coming back from work, was mentally, that's why they use sleep as torture. It was mentally exhausting. And for someone that has such a high drive and been drilled into like, you have to be the best, you have to do the best, it was really, really difficult for me mentally to accept that I couldn't operate at a level that I wanted to. So I really struggled with that. I mean, yeah, I would have, my daughter would cluster feed all night. And, when you're trying to learn a new skill, like I still wanted to grow. I wanted to work towards a promotion. I didn't want to be sidelined. So that driving me and, if I'm not the smart one, who am I? If I'm not the best, who am I? I'm like, my whole identity, accepting that I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do was a real struggle. And I think, for me, feminism is I can be who I want to be, but I feel like sometimes feminism says, or some parts of feminism say, you can have it all, and that's a myth. You can't have it all. Something has to give, and you have to be willing to accept that at this stage, something has to give. So it's that constantly being tired. I was so tired. I can't even quantify that.
You've just said a few things now that I'm going to come back to. But first of all, I want to get Donna's view on that. How was your experience?
So, like, I'm a worker. So I was on maternity leave as a freelancer twice. But like after 3 weeks, I was saying this earlier on, after 3 weeks, I had a baby in my hands and I was just like doom scrolling on like Facebook and on Instagram. So I contacted my boss and like one of my clients was like, can I come back in incognito? And I created our social media marketing strategy. I created our content strategy, like the blogs and the email marketing. Because for me, it was like, I'm just sitting at home and like, and I have the baby in my arm, like breastfeeding and whatever. I was like, I can still type with one hand and I prefer to be active.
I'm picturing you with a baby in one hand and typing in the other hand and looking at social media.
But what was important with that is the fact that I went in incognito. So I didn't have people messaging me. I didn't have to organize anyone else. That was just like a project. you know, and like that was fun. And like that was the start of that company. And they, thanks to my child number 3, they now have a maternity leave program, a benefit for their staff, and paternity leave now as well. So that was really positive for the company as well to develop that.
Yeah,
So
I think
so I'm coming back to you now, Miracle, where you said that if you were not the smart one, then who are you? I just want to ask this question and say that would you say that the struggle is not just taking time off work and then coming back and trying to like get into the workplace, is the fear that you might lose your job, the fear that you can't perform at the level that you're used to, the fear that if you're not performing at that level, somebody else is taking that job away from you. Like, I'm trying to pinpoint what are the fears there.
I think the fear for me was that I think there's a lot wrapped around my story because I'm a migrant. And so I was on a work visa with both kids. I think the first one, I went to maternity leave for, I think I was away for 4 to 5 weeks or something like that. And I went back
that's
to
very
work
short.
because they were renewing my visa. I had to go, and it's a whole separate podcast probably.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. And at the time I had kids, my first is 12. Nobody was having kids in the agency then. It was very alien to have. So there was no maternity policy.
Yeah.
So there was nothing. And so you came back and there was, and I wouldn't say that anyone was cruel. It's the kind of thing you say is like an institutional thoughtlessness, because it's never happened to anyone. No one sat down to consider what it's like for you. So you come back into this highly competitive rat race and you're just expected to join the churn. And I felt like, you know, at that point, I'm on a work visa. I need to attain a certain level. I need to be earning a certain amount of money to remain in the country. So I need a promotion. So there was all these things that I was also working towards.
A lot of things.
It was a very competitive environment. And there were people who just thought, oh, she's not going to come back because she had a kid. And so I can take that job.
Oh.
So you're mentally competing against this person who has all the time in the world. And then at that time, agencies were very social. You know, all of the promotions, everything happened after work. Everyone was going out for drinks. And I was when I came back from my second child, I was commuting from outside London to London every single day.
Wow.
So it was a lot. I would come back, barely sleep. The next day I'm off again to London. So it was like mentally, there was all of those things. So by the time you then have the second, they're like, oh, definitely not going to come back this time around. And then you came back and they're like, there's this person who's never going away. And, you know, people wouldn't ask you to stay late for pitches because they just assumed that you didn't have the time. So you start to feel invincible and doubt yourself. And I'm a kind of person that I thrive in belief. The more you believe in me, the more I perform. So it was just a bad environment all round. Like that. I think part of it, I would say, was me as well, because I just didn't feel empowered to speak up for myself in the way that I would now. And because a lot of people, nobody was having kids, no one knew to speak up for me. So I just stayed in that cycle for a long time. And yeah, it took a while for me to get out of that. You know, once I left there, found someone who believed in me, that just fired my self-belief again. And I would never take that now, but that time,
that was where you were, and that was
where I was, and that was how empowered I felt. Really.
Okay, Donna, you just talked about carrying a kid and all of that. I want to just go back to your first day back. Can you remember at any point when you had any of your 4 kids? Can you describe your first day back at work? What was that like? How did that feel?
It's like to be like you're fully like moving your concentration away from your child, and you've just spent the past few weeks like completely and utterly like 100% in this little human, and now you're concentrating on something else. So it's a bit strange, like out of world, like, you know, it's like, okay, now I have to go back and I have like responsibilities. And you kind of like question yourself. It's like, why am I doing this? You know? And it's like should I not just like be a stay-at-home mom instead, like, and dedicate all my time? But then, like, you know, like people come to you and they're talking to you and it's like, oh, welcome back. How was the kids? You know, any pictures? And then you kind of remember why you do it, you know, and you just like, you're happy again. Like, so.
So you did, okay. I think what I'm trying to get at is that you didn't feel any like blues, any like, what is that word for it? Detachment that you're living an infant.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You seem like you had this on lockdown.
Yeah, like I work from home anyway. Like, so I have my kids always around me.
Okay,
you know?
I'm going to come to that working from home in a moment. Okay. Miracle. So you talked about workplaces not even having policies because nobody was having kids. Women weren't really having kids, so there was no policies. Now, I want to ask you, what changes would you have businesses enact to support women in workspaces that want to have kids so that they don't feel scared, so that they don't feel like this is going to be a traumatic experience, not just with having kids themselves, but coming back to work? What kind of policies do you think that should be enacted in workplaces for that?
I feel the mentorship scheme is something I would highly recommend, because I sometimes, well, not for everyone, but your confidence might get knocked and you might feel like alone or like you're expected to do all of this, or, you know, you're swimming against the tide. I feel like a mentorship scheme where you get paired with someone who's been through the same thing, you know. And that might be hard if there's no one in your organization, but that's someone to say, okay, I can just go to, probably out of your department, so that you don't feel like that person has any influence on your reviews or something, where you just need a safe space to feel understood. And I feel like you might not feel you need it because as women, we try to like power through and you're like, I can do everything. But if you just say, okay, we require you to go here once a week, you will find eventually that, oh my God, I really needed that space for someone to just say, not for someone to give you advice because you're a self-sufficient person, but someone to say, I understand, I see you, and I just sit here with you, you know? And that emotional, it's the fluffy stuff, but it really helps because at that point in time, it's like you and your emotions and your mind. And I mean, especially in this era of social media, thank God when I had kids, there was not that much social media.
Just Facebook.
You know, it was just like, now it's like, even on LinkedIn, it's everywhere. Like, I'm a mom, I wake up at 5 o'clock and by 5:30, I've been to the gym 3 times and I've had, like, I'm just like, oh my God, what is this doing to people's mental health? And you're just like, I'm the only one who's unproductive. I haven't invented Facebook by 6 o'clock. So I think I would highly recommend that kind of
support.
That kind of support.
Peer-to-peer, one-on-one support, someone who has experienced that.
Yeah.
Okay, Donna, I'm coming back to you. You work from home. You just mentioned that made it easier for you with transitioning back to work. Okay, do you have any funny stories where your kids have done something terrible while you were on a call with a client or something? Horror stories. I want to hear them.
There was oh my God. There was one, and the young fella started to climb up the bookcase. So I'm on a call, I'm in a meeting, and like the next thing all you hear is like a big crash. And I was like, oh my God. Why am
I laughing? This is not funny.
Yeah, same here. But I'm not going to sit there and go, excuse me guys, I have to move and like turn off my microphone and everything. It's like, no, like I run, so my mic is still on. And I'm over there, like the child's howling and I'm like mothering my child. It's like, oh, you'll be all right, and just checking for everything. And then of course, like the other kids coming too, and they're like looking at the camera, looking into the screen, like, you know, and just like, oh, look at this is what mommy does and stuff. And I was like, oh, like, I'm like, apologize, but like, thankfully they understood, you know, like being a mother, like it's great that like you have clients that do understand that. And they're not going to be like, okay, well, this is like very, very unprofessional or anything like that. Thankfully, my son was okay. You know, it was just a few books that fell on top of him, but just that big crash and then just like boom, gone from the screen, and then the other kids coming in. It's just like it looked like chaos, even though everything is just like highly organized and everything. So,
Miracle, do you have any horror stories of your kids doing anything?
Oh God, I don't know if it's not even a funny story because I'm still so traumatized by it.
Now I have to hear it. Give it to me.
I don't even know if it's not a funny story at all. So I was having a team meeting, and then, you know, because my son, when he was from year 6, he's like cycling to school, coming back on his own. So he calls me, like I'm like expecting this call for him to say I'm leaving school, and all I hear is help, please leave him alone. And I freaked out in front of my entire team. I literally freaked out. I bolted from the office.
Yeah.
You were in your office when this
No,
call?
I was working from home. We were having a team chat.
Okay.
So I bolted from the call, ran downstairs to my husband. I was like, I don't know what's happening. Say, and he took, and then he hung up, and we were trying to call him back, and we couldn't get, literally, we had this like out of body experience, oh my God. And then finally he called us back. He was like, oh, can you pick me up? We were playing in the snow and it's snowing. And I lost my shit. I was
Oh my God.
So let me get this
Pulling
straight.
at your emotional strings, like,
You were on the walk call thinking that your child was in danger. But he's not in danger.
He's playing with
his
snow.
friends. Okay, Miracle, there was something you mentioned before we came into the studio. A horror story. We just talked about horror stories with kids at home. What about horror stories at work?
Oh God. Oh my God. Like, you know how they say, like, when your child cries, it then there's an emotion and then your breast milk
starts producing. Yep.
Thank you. So I was at work. I can't remember what the situation was. I think maybe something sad had happened to someone or something, of which so it elicited that same emotion. And then someone was just like, your top is wet. And I was like, oh, and it was like,
you're leaking in public, like,
leaking in front of everyone.
There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse.
I was in the office. Our office was in Covent Garden then. I had to there was like a new look down the road. So I had to
sorry for you. It's been for you.
This is too funny. This is too good.
And I wasn't wearing something that you could hide. It was just what it was. So I had to like walk into Covent Garden, and I was like, I bought this like jumper and stuff like that. And I was like, I was even saying to the salesman, I don't think it's my son. He was like, no, you have to keep it, because he was like,
you
could
like
see
stained it. Yes. Oh my God, I'm picturing you walking across Covent Garden.
Like,
breast milk on your chest. Everybody can see that. Oh, this woman is lactating.
There was no way of like, I had to go like into Boots first and buy like breast pads. You just have to do. You're just like, this is what this is.
The joys.
There's nothing.
The joys of motherhood.
Yeah.
Hey there, my name is Chima Mmeje, and I want to take a moment to talk to you about MozPod, our podcast sponsor. MozPod is not just your average SEO conference. We hold our speakers to the highest standards and insist on fresh talks with unique insights you've never seen anywhere else. Beyond incredible talks, we're committed to platforming more female marketers, including experts like Lily Ray, Amanda Jordan, and me. For women attending MozPod, we're providing a dedicated meeting space where you can connect with other women in tech SEO in a safe and welcoming environment. I can't wait to see you at MozPod in June. Grab a ticket at mz.cm/podcast. Okay, we're going to go into something that I think is really important when you're a parent and you also have like a very busy, demanding job, mental health and self-care. How do you prioritize these two key aspects when you have a busy life? Is there any practice that you do that you found useful?
For me, anyway, I have to set boundaries for working. Like, I properly burnt out, anxiety attacks and everything a few years ago. And I realized I actually hadn't taken a day off in about 6 months. I'm working Saturdays and Sundays, and like one of my clients was very demanding as well at that time. So he was sending messages on a Sunday and expecting responses. So like we had to like build that policy as well, like with the startup, you know. So what I do now is like, I don't work weekends, and that's it. You know, that's it. Like, I might work in the evenings during the week. You know, my timetable can be a bit everywhere, but it's just like, okay, Saturday and Sunday, no. And like, that has helped a lot. Just like turn off notifications, like, you know, uninstall the app, and to take holidays. You know, like, so like I work with so many people who don't take holidays, and it's like, if you have the option to have like, you know, like 30, like we have 36 paid holiday days a year.
Wow.
I'm sorry, hold on.
I need to move to the south.
No. Back the fuck up.
This is
Back it up. Back it up. Take it all the way back.
Why did
You
I
have
do
a job where you have 36
Yeah.
paid days off
Yeah.
in
Days.
a calendar year.
In a calendar year.
That
yeah.
is insane.
And sick days and bereavement days as well. Yeah.
36.
Wow.
36, yeah. It's just a job. Like it's great.
Damn, skill.
Where are my bags?
Thank you, Scale. Yeah.
See, free advertising for you.
Are they recruiting? Are they looking for like?
They might be now. Like yeah.
I like the idea of setting boundaries because I used to be the same way too. 2021, yeah, I was trying to hit a certain figure. I was trying to hit 100K in revenue because I wanted to leave Nigeria, and I worked every single day. And then when I moved here, 2022, I was burnt out for the whole of that year. This is not one day, 2 days, a whole year, burnt out, no creativity. So I definitely relate to setting boundaries and just like having set time for work so that you can disconnect. What about you, Miracle? What do you do for self-care and mental health?
I mean, the boundary thing I still need to work on. I'm not gonna lie and say because everyone who
Appreciate
knows
the honesty.
me knows I have
Appreciate the
not
honesty.
cracked that. Someone even recommended a book for me. I bought it. It's
Collecting dust.
Yeah.
Collecting
Look at it,
dust.
but
it's
not
gonna
open
read
it.
itself one day. But I think I really need to get better because I have my toxic trait is I'm gonna say yes and I'm just gonna see what happens. You know, so I think I still need to get better at that. But however, I think one of the things I do, which I think is really good, is I reward myself. And it's really, I'm like, I can't just keep working for my kids and I do things that I like that bring me joy. And I don't think it's selfish.
I'm going to ask you both the same question. If you just don't think about this, just give me an answer. The first thing that comes to your mind. What are you most grateful for right now? Donna? And don't say your kids.
Freedom.
Do not say your kids. That's too easy. Yeah. What are you most grateful for right now? Something that pertains to you.
The freedom, the liberty I have with being a freelancer, I suppose. Yeah. Being able to manage all of that.
The flexibility of that.
Yeah, the flexibility.
What about you, Miracle?
The freedom of choice. I have so much choice. I could, I choose to be where I am. I choose to do what I do. I choose to have children and kids. I choose to. So the fact that I could choose to do all of these things and I don't have to go to a set part. Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. It's a privilege. Not everyone has that.
And that's it for today on MozPod. I want to thank our guests, Miracle and Donna. And to everyone who is watching, please make sure you check out our other episodes for Women's History Month. Remember, curiosity did not kill the cat. It just improved its search ranking. I also want to thank the people working behind the screen, myself and Joe Cameron, producers, Saul Fox, our sound engineer, and Sarah Galpin, our video editor. Bye-bye.